Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are the B team on Jackrabbit Illustrated, of course. Jackrabbit Illustrated's title sponsor, as always, is the great Kubota Dealers of South Dakota. Kubota Dealers of South Dakota with 10 locations across the great state of South Dakota and some just over the border in Nebraska. Go to Kubota Dealers South Dakota for parts, sales, and service. They have any form of equipment you may need for your farm or acreage. Get some orange equipment today. And they also, of course, have service there, but you won't need it because they're so gosh darn reliable. Fantastic pieces of equipment. I know Chad and Matt both have them, and they are in love with their BX series tractors. So, welcome. Thank you for joining us. As always, we are on the Jackrabbit Illustrated Facebook and Twitter, as well as being on the FFN YouTube. And yes, Jim, I can talk. Not that great. We'll see what happens throughout the course of this. I've been trying to not talk for the last 3 days to try to get prepped for this, and we'll see if I tail off towards the end here. But we would also like to thank our show sponsor. Our show sponsors is Culver's of Brookings and Watertown. Culver's eat delicious, get delicious. I don't know. Breaded brand of beef makes a Butterburger better. That's all I really know. Everybody make sure you go out and get your good luck. Culver's this week so we can lay a whooping onto the mangy varmints down south. Thank you so much to Culver's of Brookings and Watertown to being one of our sponsors. Ben, you were up there with myself, and if anybody's wondering, you were promised, of course, Gus Miller as a guest. He will be here. We'll probably talk a little bit while Chad is assisting him with using the link and getting online with us here. But Ben, you were up there. We ran into each other a couple times at tailgate lots. I know you had your whole family up. How was your trip besides the last minute 50?
Yeah, really good. It was a good time. We had a Airbnb that was real close to the stadium, walking distance. That was a blast. Tailgate was fun. It was kind of weird. I had going there wanting to make sure I saw Matt Frazee, Taco King, you guys, and then my family. And it literally, the second I got on the lot, I saw Matt Frazee and Taco King. I walked to like a few spots down, I saw you guys, and then 2 spots down from that, I saw my family. So it was kind of weird how that all worked out, but it was kind of cool at the same time. But yeah, I mean, just again, I know we've talked about it in the past, but that the tailgate scene up there is just ridiculous. It's just massive. I mean,
part of it is that the way it's set up does showcase all the big rigs being up
does,
by.
yeah.
It helps showcase that. I think with the backyard, if we're to compare the two, like the backyard it's not as prone to have that when you can leave stuff on the lot and you're able to set up tents and have storage and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it lends itself quite as much to having a huge RV all the time because you can kind of do more. But anyways, I think we're getting there.
We 100% are. And I think if ours was concentrated all into one spot like theirs is, I think you could kind of compare apples to apples there. I mean, it's different when they've been doing it for so long. We're just getting, to the point where it's really, really good. And people are starting to, some of these people have been doing it 2 to 3 to 4 years now.
What do you Sorry, got? I got the volleyball match on half of my screen here, and that was the most ridiculous volley we just won. We were down 20-12 in the third set here at one point, and just had this better go on Twitter. This rally was nuts, and now it's 20-21. We brought it all the way back. We're down by 1 point in the third set. Anyway, sorry. Continue on. Volleyball teams facing the Yotes, of course.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, that's they're still undefeated. They better not let the Yotes beat them now. But looks like it's the sets are tied 1-1. It's the third set right now.
Yep, it is the third set right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. But yeah, no, it was a really good time. And then the funniest thing was Brendan's voice. Can you? I wish I would have had a video. Can you reenact what your voice sounded like?
I have a video. I sounded like a cartoon character.
You really
kind of sounded like Kermit the Frog a little bit.
Yeah,
it was really high. This is pretty much like it was.
It's not too bad. That's not too bad, but make it sound more like Brendan.
That's right.
But
Yeah.
it was hilarious because Brendan had some drinks and he was pretty upset about it actually because he wanted to go into the game
mad
and yell and he could not.
I couldn't do
so
anything.
we were giving him crap in the line on the way in, but yeah, getting into the Fargo Dome, they had a pretty cool. They can shut their lights off, and how cool is that, Brendan?
Oh my God, you're so obsessed with lights.
It was cool.
No, time out. Has anybody ever been to the El Rayed Shrine?
It
was cooler than
just like
the circus.
Just like the circus.
It was cooler.
I'm sorry. It was cool. I'm not saying it wasn't cool, but it looked just like the circus.
Anyway, they pulled out all the stops. They gave out some towels with some LEDs in them, and it actually looked really cool.
That was cool. Yeah, the towels with LEDs was really cool. It was a really cool atmosphere. It was everything the marker deserves. But to be fair, when it comes to that, you have so many more options in an arena or shopping mall in this case for lights and making a light show and stuff like that. It's a lot harder, especially when the vast majority of our games are when it's sunny out for your intro. Even if we have a night game early in the year, there's still sun out and it's not going to have much of an effect.
Which, by the way, this is getting nerdy, but I did notice they're not LEDs. They have hoods that cover their lights and then they uncover them. So that was interesting that they don't use LEDs, that they use those hoods. But anyway, the atmosphere was electric from the kickoff. You could tell that crowd wanted that game. I mean, they were in it from the jump, and it was fun to be in it. I mean, you could feel it; it was palpable, and just yeah, it was a great atmosphere. I don't know how much we want to get into the game itself before Gus gets on here.
Well, we can get into a little bit. Gus gets on here. We can probably go back. I know it's been beat to death all over nationally, and you know, with the A team and Zimmer and everywhere else. You know, it's been beat to death.
Speaking of beat to death, I mean, it has been talked about a lot, but I would recommend SDSU fans go listen to the Blue Bloods episode they put out today. They talked very fairly, in my opinion, about the game and some of the struggles that SDSU is having, and I think it's good perspective, and it kind of identifies some of the stuff that they think the team needs to correct going forward. And so, just plug for the Blue Bloods there. I think it was a really good episode, and they covered it really well. So
here he is. He made it.
Sorry, troubles with the technology.
No worries,
happens, man. We know you were at practice right before this, so it's gonna be a thing. It's cool.
Yeah, I don't need to be the big one here. That's for sure.
Give me a hot second, dude.
Get it together, would you? God, no. Gus, I heard you on. We heard you on the coach's show, and we're like, oh my God, we got to get this guy on here. This guy's going to be great. He's a character. Tough week to have you on here a little bit.
Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Eventually, we lose a football game. No team has gone undefeated in perpetuity, especially when you're on the road and all that jazz.
Dolphins.
But I know Ben planned. See, we're the B team. We don't normally have a plan for these things, and Ben put together a plan, and he's got questions and asking
I got questions for you, Gus. I do. Number one, if people didn't know, you graduated from Brookings. Have you lived in Brookings your whole life?
Yeah, lived in Brookings all my life.
Got you. So were you going to Jack's games when you were a kid?
Not exactly. Went to games down south.
Did you now?
What?
Okay.
No way.
What?
Hey, it's all good. You're better now. You have been redeemed.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
Were you indoctrinated to the color red in some way since you went to Brookings High School?
Well, I have a lot of family that went to that school. Dad played football there. My mom's dad played football there. Older sister threw track and field there. So I've had a lot of family go down there, and so that was kind of the reason.
Gotcha. So what was that like when you decided to go to SDSU, and I guess your brother as well?
It I mean, when my older brother came to SDSU, I kind of saw what he was kind of doing here, saw the growth he was having and how mature he became. And so I kind of thought I wanted that same kind of thing. And so it was an easy option for me. I wasn't really highly recruited coming out of high school. So SDSU gave me a chance and I took it right away.
Now, you wrestled in high school, yeah?
Yep, wrestled. There'd be times when I was younger where my older brother and I will just throw out the blankets and start wrestling on the ground. And my dad was the head wrestling coach at the high school. So
Right. So just
so
confirm with me that wrestlers make the best football players.
I've talked to a lot of people and they all agree that wrestlers make the best football players. Yeah.
Right on. Thank you.
I did see.
There's
Go ahead.
nothing wrestlers are more proud of than being good football players. I don't think
good fighters in
cannot-
the UFC too, by the way.
you cannot have a conversation with a wrestler about football without them mentioning that wrestlers make the best football players.
It's a combat sport that translates to all facets of life.
And so you were a champion, state championship wrestler, but I saw that it was at 220.
Mm-hmm.
How could you cut to 220 today? Like how
No.
long? I mean,
No.
or did you grow quite a bit from then till now?
So I wrestled 220 for I think my freshman year all the way to my junior year. And then like my junior season I had to cut I think it was 30 some pounds from wrestling.
That's a bunch.
It to be honest, it wasn't terrible. I just had to I kept working out, so I was already losing a lot of weight. And then just maintaining what I eat really. But it did suck. But my senior year, I was like, I don't want to go through that again. I'm just gonna wrestle heavyweight. So probably around then I was about 260-ish my senior year.
So that's a good weight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming your junior year that was kind of a sacrifice for the team so that you could have a good wrestler at heavyweight and a good wrestler at 220 then.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we had a good wrestler. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I made our podcast a wrestling podcast, and I've never been prouder.
Hey, I haven't been able to talk wrestling in a while, so I don't know.
Well, just call Damian Hahn. I'll get you his number. He'll talk for hours.
I bet.
So Alex here wants to know, we might as well continue. What's your go-to shot and who's tougher, you or Eddie?
He's a wrestling guy too.
I'm guaranteeing he's watching this. And if he's not here, I would say me. I'm gonna say me mostly because I think I can get around him a lot better. And so I'm gonna say me.
So is it true you have a twin sister?
I do have a twin sister. She plays basketball at Minnesota Duluth.
And someone here says
Right on.
she says that she can still whip your ass. That would be Corey Mensch here.
I don't know about that.
That's small for him to read. He's on his phone, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Garrett asked if you ever wrestled Caleb Sanders.
Oh, that'd be a good match.
Oh no, I saw him wrestling. I don't want to mess with him. He was good.
He's got great leverage.
He's an Iowa kid, so
Everybody's loving the wrestling talk, but so after you won a wrestling championship as a junior year, you won the football state championship as a senior, correct?
we actually lost the Pier.
Oh, you lost. Oh, okay.
That was the first time, and we played at the Dana J. Dyke House that year.
That's right.
And so yeah.
Got you. And then you came to SDSU, and then you earned the starting job at the start of the what would have been 2022 season. Your first game as a starter was against Iowa at center. How was that? Just right out the gate playing a team like Iowa.
It was tough. It was a lot to kind of just come in there. A lot of noise and stuff, and so I can always say my first career snap, I false started, backed up at the 10-yard line, with their fans yelling and everything. But that was a loud environment, and kind of look back on that and see how much growth I've had from then till now. So it's been really awesome to see.
We weren't going to mention the false start. You didn't have to do that to yourself.
And I'm not wearing black and yellow because of Iowa, just for the record.
I like that jersey.
Yeah, I got the whole thing, man.
Yeah, I saw Mason he was like the number one. And was it the O line or the rookies? What was that again?
Rookie
O lineman
I
pressure
posted
rate.
Yeah, I
today.
saw that.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And his gift that we had, it was so awesome.
Brings it back.
That's
He's a character.
That's good to be used. So he was a big character, obviously, a big presence in the O line room. And I know they talked about on the coaches show and stuff. You've kind of learned to pick up that mantle and everything. But besides you, who's the biggest character on the O line?
I would have to say Evan for sure. Evan Bernstein. He's something different, especially in the meetings.
Wasn't he the one that rushed down and to Mark's defense on that touchdown? Good on him. That's how you want an O lineman to be. So
yeah,
Evan, if you're watching,
protect the quarterback.
thanks, dude.
Yep.
Just to clarify, because I know when I was watching live at the stadium, and if you were at the game and didn't see what happened there, you just saw you just saw the dance in the end zone, and then there's a fight. What's going on? What happened? Mark got blasted, and then he rolled and got up, and then Mason was way in the end zone. And that play was over, and he gets blasted a second time. So that's what the kerfuffle, the gentleman's disagreement was at that point there. So just to clarify for everybody why we're very happy that happened, because you can't let somebody take free shots on the QB like that.
So going back a little bit before we get to the NDSU game, I do want to know your thoughts on what did that winning that first championship, especially for Stig, feel like, and then kind of compare and contrast that with the second championship.
I mean, that first one, it was just surreal. I couldn't put it in words. Going on that stage and then just seeing all the yellow and blue on the field, all the confetti going around. It was awesome. Definitely a moment I'm never going to forget, for sure. And then getting to see my older brother, he was a little emotional. And so when I saw him, I kind of got emotional. And so it was a moment like that I will never forget. And it was the same for last year's one. A great moment, seeing all the yellow and blue again on that field and seeing all the support and the amount of work we put in that season, and then getting to celebrate on that stadium. It's awesome.
That is cool. I mean, I was in tears for sure on that first one. The second one, it was more. I don't. We described last season as like a victory lap, because you guys were just so good that it was, it just kind of felt like there was no team that was going to touch you guys. And then so after last season, tell us a little bit about winning the Remington Award and what that meant to you.
It was awesome. Coach Rogers, he really got me good, and Zach and Kills are really good. Like I said on the radio show, I had no idea what was going on. Just saw we were about to break it down, and then they came in with a box saying from Santa to Gus, and I had no idea what was inside, and ripped it open, and there was nothing in there. So I was just looking around thinking somebody's gonna like hit me or something. And then just hearing that, couldn't believe it, and then kind of getting jumped on by everyone else, especially the O-line. Everybody just really jumped on me, and then rushing home to go see my family and tell them that was a very special moment. Another one that I'll never forget.
Speaking of your family and the coaches show, did you get in trouble for the voice that you?
Yeah, I was talking to my parents a little before this and told them, hey, make sure you tune in, listen. And my dad goes, don't do any voices of your mom. Don't do any impressions.
Oh, I was going to ask for a repeat of the story for that. That was incredible.
No. I'm not gonna do that again. Love my
He
mom
ain't
too
getting
much.
paid enough.
Love you, Mom.
How unique is that? I mean, for me, seeing your situation, being from Brookings, living in Brookings, having your family right there. How special is that for you to be able to do that basically in your hometown and accomplish what you've accomplished and play and be doing all the things you're doing in your hometown with your parents right there?
It's awesome. I mean, my parents don't have an excuse to miss a home game, and so they're always there. And then I always get to see people that either I grew up with or I know for a long time, always out in the stands. And then after the game, them coming over to me, talk to me. It's always something that I cherish, and it's awesome.
So is your sister catch a lot of flack for going all the way out to Duluth after you and your brother were in Brookings and making your parents drive a bunch?
No. So she originally went to Augustana, and then transferred. This is her last year, and so she transferred there. And she's doing really good. They had a game last Friday, and she did really good. I got to see a couple videos, and I was pretty hyped in the hotel room.
Tell me a little bit about, you kind of grew up during the transition period from D2 to D1 in Brookings, and the town kind of changed a lot. Maybe talk a little bit about your experience there, because through my eyes it was quite a change, because I was on campus for both ends of it. So tell me how that was for you and how you saw maybe the town grow or whatever.
I kind of, the support for not only for the football but all athletics in general, I saw the support really grow. I mean, I remember not seeing many people wearing a lot of SCSU stuff, and then once they made that transition, I started to see a lot more people starting to wear more SCSU stuff, starting to show their support, because that's kind of a hard time to go through. And so people just showing their support for the athletics. It was something very special for this town, I would say.
Is it kind of hard to believe where the university's gotten to from where it was when you were young?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, like there wasn't a whole lot I saw really, and then kind of as I got older, it's just seeing more and more support grow.
Right on.
So we got a question in the comments from Pat Whitty. Why number 50? Do you have any meaning behind the number, or is that just a number?
Well, so my older brother wore it in high school, and my brother is my role model. He's a guy that I always look up to, and so I always wanted to be like him. And so I wore 50 in high school, and then when I was coming here, they asked what number I wanted, and I said, well, if I can, I'd like to have 50. And I got it without any pushback or anybody else saying they wanted it. But the funny part is I have gotten mixed up with Nick Wells, the DN. He was also number 50 a couple times, which I thought was funny. And so I always argue with him to change his number, but he refuses. But that was kind of the background of the 50.
Got it.
Gotcha. What's it like watching Mason as a Steeler? Have you had a chance to watch any of his games?
Yeah, so I watched when they played the Cowboys, and then when they played the Jets, my roommate and I, we were watching it and kind of just watching what he's doing and kind of just seeing like he's freaking awesome right now. I'm out, like I'll see them run right behind him and I'm just screaming out, "Let's go!" Just seeing the success he has, it's awesome to see that. And I know everyone at SUSU is, when they watch something like that and they see that, everybody on the team is just really happy for Mason.
It would be hilarious watching an O lineman watch football and just like you're only watching the O line reps and like cheering for those.
Some people, like I'll be watching a game and like I'm like, "That was a great play," and people like, "What do you mean was it incomplete?" I was like, "I was watching the O line. What are you talking about?"
That's awesome. That's great.
So does your brother ever you talk to him after games? Does he give you a hard time? Does he critique you after any games or anything? Or
sometimes. I mean, we'll always just talk about some stuff like that, and I always talk about a play or two, and he'll be like, "Yeah, you should have done better." I'm like, "I know. Thanks for telling me that."
That helps.
Yeah. It's always our family is very we don't care. We're just gonna tell you straight facts of what it is, and so. But no, it's awesome. I always get to see him and talk to him a little bit more. Because when I talk to like my girlfriend or someone else, and I talk about something, it just goes way over their head. But when I talk to him, he'll be like, "Yeah," then talk to me more about it. And so, yeah.
So when you watch Mason playing in the NFL, do you kind of think to yourself that could be you someday?
Yeah, if the opportunity is there, I'm definitely gonna take it. And so, yeah.
Well, we'd obviously like to see it. But back
Yes,
to this
sir.
season, I guess, how has it gone for you, and what's it been like compared to previous years?
A lot of growing. I feel like kind of in that getting into that leadership role. We knew when Mason Garrett and John Bryan were going to be gone, that Evan Bernstein and I are going to have to step up. We have the most experience on the O line, and so kind of being leaders and teaching what those older guys, Mason Garrett, and even past that, like Wes Gannett, Egan, and Eddie, and all those older guys, what they taught us when we were freshmen. Kind of just always teaching them lessons that we learned, and just seeing the younger guys really work on what we're teaching was awesome to see. And then kind of like just the communication aspect of it, just just talking more at the line. And from some previous years, I know my first year I was still kind of just new at it, and so I wasn't very talkative. But then as each season's gone on, I've communicated more and more. I think my voice has gotten a lot louder at the on the line, and so it's something I'm still working on, but still something that I can grow.
Got you. So, talk a little bit about what it was like up in Fargo. We were all in the crowd, and it sounded loud. How loud was it on the field?
It was loud, but during the whole week we were practicing with crowd noise. We went inside the S track, and our two media guys, they had our big speakers, and when we got in our huddle, they would put it like right behind Mark and underneath us, to like we barely could hear, and so we had to like get face to face with Mark and try to understand what he's saying. But yeah, it was loud for sure, but practiced with it, and so but that it's a tough environment to go into and have success early on. Yeah.
For sure. So, what are do you have any general thoughts on the game? Obviously, you can't get into it too deep, but I guess, how do you think it went? And
I would. It was disappointing. I mean, last time we saw a loss to NDSU was 2019 at home, and I was at that game, and so it was disappointing to have that. I was frustrated, but I knew we got to just move on and how we're going to respond, because we also have another big game coming up. But I thought O-line wise, we were doing really pretty good in a run game. But um, every week we always talk about, when we turn on the film and watch, there's going to be plays that how can we get 5% better on this one block? Well, if we can push this and have a little bit more success, just a little bit more, how much more that will affect the play. And there were quite a bit of plays on there that we left some room on the table for it, but definitely a big growth for us, and something that we can keep working on. But yeah.
got you. Speaking of the run game, I do need to know, who do you think is faster, Chase Mason or Angel Johnson?
I'm gonna have to go Angel.
Really?
I've seen him run, and he's fast. We in weight room, we go by weights, and he was lifting with me, and his quads are massive. And he can just, when he squats, he just goes up and down like not like nothing, and we'll have a bunch of weight on it, and he'll just go up and down. I'm just like, what? And
Yeah,
so, but he's when he lets it loose, he really is really fast.
Dallas on the JI team. He always says that he'd be the first guy off the bus for us to intimidate the other team. So you said you mentioned moving on to the next game. We do have a big game coming up. Obviously, USD is coming to town. Talk a little bit about it's back in Brookings. Talk about how the crowds have been this year. It's going to be another sellout, and how much of a difference that makes, and how important that is to you guys.
I mean, the crowds these home games have been amazing. They've been really loud. The student section's always been packed. It's awesome to see that. Just seeing everybody getting loud when our defense is out there and their offense is on the field, and they're not only just getting loud on third down, but being loud on every single play. That's something you really want to see, and something that our fans are doing a really good job of. And so I'm really happy to see that for sure. And like crowd noise, that's always a big factor in the game of a false start or not hearing the play fully and having to waste a little bit more time understanding what play was just called. And so, but so far, I think our fans are doing an amazing job right now.
So, well, I'll Jim Poppin asks, how does it compare to the 19,000 at DJDS? But I assume he means how the Fargo Dome compare for noise, and is the Dana as loud as any other stadium? And feel free to be honest here, because we've got plenty of people online that are watching that are very free to critique you. So that feel very free to critique you, and we are three of them. So by all means, be very honest about it. How does it compare to some of the other places you've been?
Well, like for NDSU, they are in a dome, and so it's gonna get loud in there. It's enclosed space, and so it's gonna be loud, and it is louder in there, just because you're in a dome. But with Dana J, it's one of the loudest areas. When that crowd really gets going, it's really loud. Like against Montana State last year, the crowd was just in it the entire game, which was awesome. Like some other, I would say like Montana State, that place was really loud too. I remember
Iowa.
that. That's 70,000 versus 19.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
and so that Iowa will always be very, very loud. To be honest, Oklahoma State, that wasn't like really only on third down. That wasn't like the only time it really was loud. We practiced with crowd noise, but it wasn't when we first got out there. There was not much yelling from the fans, and so I feel like crowd noise from Oklahoma State wasn't very bad. But
At that one, people were just trying not to pass out in the stands.
At least on the north side, yeah.
Where we were sitting anyway. Was it hot down on the field too?
When the sun came out, yes, it was. Yeah. It was when there wasn't sun, it wasn't that bad. I mean, we were practicing inside our S-Jack, and it was warm in there. And there were times where it was actually warmer in our S-Jack than there. But when the sun did come out, it did get pretty hot. And so being on the sideline, you had to have like lean back because they have that little cover, but it wasn't very like covering very much. So you had to like lean all the way back just to get a little bit of shade. But
as an O lineman, when you're on offense and you're at a stadium, like you mentioned, Oklahoma State, they only really got loud on third down. Is it wear on you when a stadium's loud every down that you're on offense, or do you just kind of get used to it when it's every down and it's no big deal?
You're used to it, because I mean, like NDSU, by the time really like by the time the second quarter starts, like you're used to the noise. I mean,
yep.
I mean, like I think we had that false start. Like I think it was in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I think with our left guard, and then kind of as the game gone on, we didn't really have a problem with it, and so I would say you just used to it at that point, and with kind of like the experience we've had with some tougher environments, I mean, I feel like we're kind of used to this crowd noise.
I think Brendan's trying to get you to egg our fans on to make more noise for the.
I was hoping for a different answer. Like, oh God, they just never stop, and it drives me nuts.
Not every offensive line is as seasoned as ours, and is capable of handling the crowd noise.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever want more crowd noise, just turn around and start getting the crowd going, because I know we love seeing just how much you guys get into it, especially if the defense is out there raising their hands up, telling the crowd to get loud, and we pay attention to you guys on the sidelines too. So yeah, hopefully fans show up this weekend and get as loud as possible, because it's a big one against USD. Need to bounce back here for sure. We do want to respect your time. Chad and Brendan, do you have anything else before we
I do have
take off here?
one last question, because it's a night game, and they always ask Jimmy, and Jimmy gives the most Jimmy answer ever. And well, the game's whenever the game's played, and it is what it is. Are night games any more special to you at the Dana? Do you like them better? Do you like the afternoons? Does it not matter?
To be honest, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, football's football. I'm gonna have to play it. I know you just gotta wait around more, which just gets really boring in the day. And so, honestly, I like those like 2:00 games, like right in the middle. You wake up, do your walkthroughs, do your stuff, do your meetings, and then by that time it's getting close to when you gotta start getting ready for it. And so with those, like, it was the game at 6:30, wasn't it? This week?
Yeah, 6:30 tonight.
Okay. Yeah,
Or
you
this
gotta
week.
wait a long, like, you have downtime, and so you just kind of use that time to kind of get off your feet, relax a little bit, maybe watch a couple other games, just not get emotionally tied into them, and just kind of relax. But yeah, I like those little bit earlier games, in my opinion.
I'm sure you can't go into too many specifics, but Seth Meyer asked how the team's feeling physically after the Marker game. We're doing pretty well, I imagine. It looked like we weren't too beat up.
No, I don't. No, I haven't really seen anyone. It was just more frustration, is what I think a lot of guys are having right now, and so. But those kind of games after NDSU, that's always a tough game, and so everyone's always going to have soreness, and so that's probably all I've really seen so far.
You guys ready to get the taste of last week out of your mouth, I'd imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the biggest thing for this week is how we're going to respond. So
feel free to take it out on USD. It won't hurt any of our feelings.
Won't hurt my feeling either.
Perfect. Well, like Jim says, thank you for your time. We really, really appreciate you hopping on with us, and wish you nothing but the best the rest of the season going forward. And maybe we'll have you on again sometime.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thanks
for coming on.
Thanks,
Thanks.
guys.
All right, so that is the one and only the Gus Miller, Remington Award-winning center for the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Something that Ron Lowney's loud mouth doesn't have. A Remington Award winner on their offensive line. Anyways, first off, we're gonna do. I'm going to do a quick read for Cubby Sports Bar and Grill, segment sponsor. We'll say that Gus was brought to you by Cubby Sports Bar and Grill in Brookings, South Dakota, the go-to place to go for food, drinks, and entertainment. If you're in Brookings, they're the best sports bar in South Dakota or the whole Midwest, if you ask me. But Cubby Sports Bar and Grill are the place to go to get food, chislic, beer, whatever you're feeling. Get down to Cubby's and catch a Jacks game. If you're not able to make it into the game, because we know some of us aren't going to be able to. It's a sellout. Some people won't be able to make it into the game. So get down to Cubby's if you're not able to make it, and still kind of feel like you're part of the atmosphere anyways when you're at Cubby's with their rough estimation. It's not exact numbers. I think they have 30,000 TVs in there. I haven't done an exact count, but I'm pretty sure, scientifically speaking, I'm pretty close. So go to Cubby Sports Bar and Grill. And you might still be able to go on the patio, even running out of days to be able to do that. So get out on the patio and enjoy yourself a brewski.
Your voice is getting a little froggy there again. It sounds
listen. I kind of figured that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I when I was rewatching the game, I thought for a second that I could hear you. I was like, geez, he's really yelling loud with his voice. And then I realized it was when SDSU was on offense. And so I was like, oh no, that was a little girl screaming. It wasn't you.
I heard that on the broadcast too. There was a
Yeah,
little girl
She
screaming
must have
like
been close to the mic because
brutally loud. Yeah.
it was really loud.
To steal a line from Letterkenny, I sounded like I sounded like a 12-year-old Dutch girl.
There you go.
For real,
For
he did.
real.
But no, I think back to the NDSU game, you have to give Cam Miller a ton of credit.
Yeah.
That dude played really well, especially on that last drive. He's received a lot of criticism from us too, and some of it deserved. But man, the way that he has improved himself and the way that he's playing this year, just wanted to give him a shout out and big credit to him because the plays that he was making, some of the throws that he was making on the run, when we were getting good pressure on him was just really, really impressive. So I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that.
Yeah, and on your point that you were making before we had Gus join, talking about Zach, any national podcast or radio show. That's why we recommend those shows. I promise you, if you're listening and you're getting mad and you think they hate the Jackrabbits, they don't. Nobody who does those podcasts has any ill will towards the Jacks. They're just giving you probably information you don't want to hear. So they're very honest. It is a good conversation that they have on there from eyes that are not wearing blue and yellow glasses, which is why I enjoy those sort of shows personally, because I know how I see the game is tinted blue. No matter how hard I try, they're tinted blue. And observation wise, right? Except for Kyler. Kyler Neal is just trying to pull your chain, get you upset. And that's okay. Objectively speaking, right now the passing game is broken. Objectively speaking, we are 11th in the conference as a passing offense, which is fine. I don't care about the rank as much as when you look that your yards per pass average is only 7 yards per pass. That's crazy. That's very, very low. You're not stretching the field at all. USD's at 13, Missouri State's at 11.9. Those are potent passing attacks when you've got your average yards per pass at that range. When you're down to 7, it's concerning.
Completion
Matt in the Rants and Raves did a great job. I don't think any of us will be able to tell you what exactly is not working right with the pass game. We can't. We don't have the film. We don't have the knowledge to be able to tell what's happening exactly. But something's not right, and it needs to be fixed because we're going to this USD team. They are going to put up points. Like the 2 years of holding them without a touchdown, that's not happening this week. They're going to score touchdowns. They are a potent offense. They will score touchdowns.
And they're going to utilize the NDSU tape against us.
Yes, they're going to utilize a lot of things, though. I think offensively, I don't know they get a ton necessarily offensively. I think defensively you probably find more there, but offensively they're gonna be able to move the ball. Like we're not gonna be able to just sit on it, and we're at home.
For anyone that thinks they can pinpoint the issue in the passing game, I'll guarantee you that you're wrong because it's a combination of things. For anybody that wants to sit there and say, "Oh man, it's the new play callers," or "Oh man, it's Mark," or "Oh man, it's our wide receivers," it's a combination of all of it. There are issues, I think, in every aspect of the passing game, and it all needs to be cleaned up and fixed. Like you said, it's broken right now. It's not working. If we had a passing game at all in that game, I think we win pretty not easily, but handily. I think that. Obviously, you watch that game. There were plenty of opportunities to go win that game, and I think the second half, especially the first 3 drives in the second half, we went 4 and out, 3 and out, and 5 and out, and we were running the ball fairly well. And at that point, I think, especially in the second half, NDSU started to load the box and said, you know what, you gotta throw the ball to beat us. And we didn't execute. I think that was the biggest. I've seen it mentioned a couple times, and I agree that execution was the biggest issue in that game. That there were plenty of times where the guys were in the right spots to make plays. That our offensive play callers called the right play, and we just didn't make the play. Whether it was dropped pass or missed cut or anything, execution was the biggest thing in that
Volleyball.
game. And then also one more thing, the mental mistakes in that game were just, we can't have it in a game. You can have it in a game against Youngstown State or something like that, but you cannot have it in a game against NDSU, a team like that. You're going to have a real tough time winning games if you have that many mental mistakes.
Yeah. Just shot the foot clean off a lot of times. And I know NDSU fans will say, oh, we missed our chances too. Absolutely. I get
100%.
it. 100%. You're always going to say that after a game. I totally get it. Just there's a lot of it. Yeah, the volleyball is going to a fifth set. That's what the fist pump was for. They were on the brink of losing that fourth set to lose 3-1. It was 24-22 or 23, and they stormed back and won 26-24. So they're going to a fifth set. Now it's the rubber match, ladies. Don't let them take that undefeated. Don't let it be them who takes the undefeated at home.
Especially the same week we play them in football.
Right. But anyways, that was our quick volleyball update in the middle if you're listening on the podcast.
Mental mistakes.
I mean, mental mistakes, drop balls. I mean, the screen pass that got dropped. I mean, maybe it was coming a little hot, maybe, but I mean, you got to catch that ball. And that was they bit so hard. I mean, that was yards for days. I mean, a wall of blockers in front of them, one guy to block until you got way deep in the second level. I mean, that thing would have took off, just missed plays, overthrowing Stoffel, the non-catch to Goring, not breaking a tackle here, a lot of little things, like where Gus said, they left some meat on the bone, where you can't afford to do that. What was startling to me, what I didn't realize even in the rewatch, was listening to Blue Blood say we only got 72 yards in the second half. 72 yards. That's not going to get her done. It's just not going to get her done. Not against a team that's that good. Now, that being said, all these things being said and all the negative and all the bitterness of losing the marker, how much it sucks. There have been many a year where the loser of the marker game has won a national title. There's been the majority of years that teams win the FCS national title, they have lost an FCS game. It's not the end of the season. I was joking with my NDSU friends that I know in Fargo after the game, like, well, we're packing her up. It's done. We're canceling all the games. No more season. It's over. It's not, and honestly, if I wish it wasn't the marker, but as a fan base, it's probably good for us to lose a game. Some of the reactions I saw online and Twitter were ridiculous. Like, chill.
I stayed off for a reason.
I didn't say anything. I just saw them, and some of y'all are absolutely blue NDSU fans with how you acted after that game, and you got to know how to. That makes that as a fan base, how you handle a loss is just as important as how you handle a win. Personally, from a fan base perspective, this isn't talking about the team. So some of us needed a loss, I think, for sure. Just speaking from a fan base perspective, yeah, it's frustrating to lose. It's their first time in 5 years. We lost 8 guys who signed with the NFL, and we were at their place. Their quarterback's playing at a Walter Payton level. And, I think he absolutely, with that finish to the game, probably put himself in the front of everybody's minds to win the Walter Payton so far. It is impressive as hell. Not that I'm excusing the loss, but we'll look back sometime and go, God, that was impressive as hell with everything going on with the season to have a team capable of being that close, let alone feel like they should have won. I do feel like we should have won that game. Like a lot of things happened that feels like, man, it felt like, and I've been saying it in the group chat, and I did say at the beginning of the year, we will lose in Fargo and beat them in the playoffs. I do believe that was my prediction. And boy, I'm not any less convinced of that with how much this team, especially offensive line and the defense, has been improving week over week over week over week. And how that game went, where it felt like there was so much meat left on the bone offensively. I don't think you can ask the defense to perform any better. They were on the field most of the time. They did a hell of a job of stopping the run game. They really, gave up 13 points. If you give up 13 points and lose, it's not the defense's fault. It was a hell of a showing by them. I have no doubt they will provide the same showing if we were to meet with them again. So, and it feels like there's a ton of things. The offense, that's just a little bit from clicking. And a second time around, I feel confident in this team going forwards.
100%. I mean, you said that it was good for this team to lose for some of the fans. I think it was good for the team too. I mean, I think you can have a positive out of it, because if you think about it, some of the kids on this team have never seen a loss, like an FCS loss
Right.
anyway.
Right.
And so, it's good to feel that and feel, not want to have that taste in your mouth and not to have it happen in the playoffs. I'd rather have it happen
USD
now.
coach is pissed. Oh, she's angry. Oh my God.
I'd
She's
rather
throwing a
have it.
headset into the fans. Never mind.
I'd rather have it happen now than in the playoffs. But I couldn't agree more with what you were saying there. It feels like, there were years when, and we would beat NDSU, and we'd feel great about it. And then, but NDSU would be saying, man, we had a lot of opportunities to win that game. We just didn't do it. And then they'd refocus and they'd regroup and they'd go win the championship. And that's exactly what this team can do. And I think they have everything that they need to go do that. And I think it would be different if we had played really, really well and lost 9-13, that's different. But I think you can look at that game. Anybody can look at that game and say, SDSU did not play very well at all on offense, for sure. Even and especially special teams as well. And in 2 out of 3 phases, we didn't play well and we lost by 4. There's something to say there, and there's plenty of stuff, plenty of positive to come from it. Plenty of things to fix, obviously, but I think they'll get things right and they'll get headed in the right direction. I do. You got some good.
Well, I was going to say, and that's not to say like, Cam Miller will be healthier, I think, in a rematch and all that stuff. So there's going to be factors and all that stuff. But as of right now, if I'm an NDSU fan, Brian, just on cue, you don't feel like NDSU is improving week over week over week. I do.
100%.
I'm not saying that, but
No.
I'm saying I've been on the opposite side of it enough times where it's happened, and where the emotion is so high on one side compared to the other. And I'm not saying that SDSU didn't want to win in the worst way, but I said before the game, you can't replicate desperation and the burning rage of guys who might graduate without ever winning a rock, and guys who, and all that stuff. You can't replicate it. I'm saying I feel good. I feel good about the way things have developed, and even down to a standpoint of, I'm not happy that people got injured, and I don't want it to be taken this way. But NDSU had major injuries after this game, and that would happen to us all the time when we had these games against them, where we'd come out in a close game and win, but we'd have some major injuries happen because it just is the way it worked. We just got so beat up from that game. It just has a vibe like that. I'm not saying NDSU is not improving week over week at all.
No,
This
we're
is just-
talking about SDSU. We're not talking about.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
Yeah, it was. You mentioned NDSU came away with some injuries. I don't know if people haven't heard. Cole Payton torn labrum, I think, season ending.
Yep.
And their safety,
Sam Young
torn pec, season ending.
Should know how to pronounce that, but I don't because I'm not a professional. But
yeah, so a couple big losses for them. I mean, it's just a testament to how physical this game always is. It's and you can tell it out there. I mean, everybody was giving it their all. But yeah, I mean, and you hate to see it. I mean, if we do end up playing them again, I would want them to be full strength, and they unfortunately won't with those two guys out, but they'll bounce back. But should we? Before we move on from this game, we got to talk about the defense. And like you mentioned a little bit how good they looked against the run, but man, were they lights out. It's just that NDSU team, their offense had looked really, really good this season.
Well, it is really, really good. I don't think there's any look. It is really good.
Yeah, they have a very, very good offense, and our defense over and over again, even after getting put in bad spots, would hold them. And just guys like Jared DePriest was just flashing all over the place. Caleb Franzel looked really, really good. It's just that the defense, and I said it a few shows ago, is championship level. It really is. It's deep. They're fast. They're good. And speaking of a few episodes ago, can I get a little vindication for saying the offense wasn't passing the eye test?
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about that today as I was driving somewhere. I was like, I better give Ben his flowers. He was right. I mean, you can't argue with it.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that we can move on from this one.
As we move on from this one, I would like to mention our next segment sponsor, Northwestern Mutual of Sioux Falls and Chris Schenkel. Northwestern Mutual, if you need any financial or family planning, get down to Northwestern Mutual in Sioux Falls. They'll talk to you for free and give you a free consultation on what you need to do, steps you need to take to get your financial life in order. If you don't have retirement savings or you don't have life insurance and you have a family or any of those things, you need to go talk to those guys. Talk to somebody, but definitely talk to Northwestern Mutual. They are great people to talk to. Also, the sponsor of Alex's Lemonade Stand for across FCS football. The Alex's Lemonade Stand I've seen at the Brewers games and everywhere else. So it is a great organization that they are helping be a part of this. They're have Mark Gronowski, obviously, in Alex's Lemonade Stand there. We've been collecting money for I mean Chad has been collecting money for his being pudding shot Santa to put towards that. May have brought in quite a healthy amount of cash so far. But beyond that, Northwestern Mutual, I can't tell you, I genuinely can't tell you how much of a change for the better it was for my life personally after talking to a financial advisor. Just the weight of thinking that you're probably in a worse spot. You think you're in a worse spot than you actually are, but sometimes not knowing that and just going and randomly putting a number down for your 401k or whatever, it doesn't give you a lot of peace of mind. So go talk to those guys. They'll get you set up, get you on the right path so that you have comfort knowing your retirement's going to be taken care of properly instead of just punching in whatever on the sheet that they hand you when you start your job for whatever you want to put into your 401k. So get down and talk to Northwestern Mutual and Chris Schenkel and the boys.
They are professionals for a reason. And I'd just like to add, even though I haven't tweeted it out, I come and picked up the cooler from you today, and there was a couple bucks tossed in there that I got for pudding shots. Kudos to the NDSU fans. I know we had quite a few Jacks fans donating up there as well. $130 at an away game. So that's pretty stellar. So we'll put another $130 on Mark's total. And it's great. Great deal.
Perfect.
We can absolutely get the helmet back at the tailgate, Jim.
Yep. Seth Meyer here mentioned the huge plays previous weeks being fool's gold. You need some, but you can't rely solely on them. And I think it's a good point. We've had a bunch of really big explosive plays, and I think that's kind of hidden some of the offense's inefficiencies. And this game, NDSU did a good job of keeping those explosive plays to a minimum, and we just were not able to sustain drives, especially in the second half there. And so that'll be the focus going forward for the offenses, sustaining drives, converting third downs, and looking better overall. So,
I mean, that's
moving
dead
on. What's that?
That's dead on, and to parlay it into the next game. That was USD last year. They were so reliant on the explosive play. And then you face a good defense, and if you aren't markedly better than that defense, those huge plays are hard to come by because they're sound on their angles, they're sound on their assignments. So that play that is designed to get 4 to 6 yards doesn't pop for 85 because that last guy's a good tackler and took the right angles in the right spot. And that's what we were able to do to USD last year. And we'll see what happens this year. I know I didn't dive as deep into the stats this year on their touchdowns because honestly, I just feel their offense is quite a bit better. I don't think they're I think they're quite a bit better offense than last year.
Yeah, I mean, USD's looking good. You can't deny that. The only thing you can question is who they've played, but they're beating everybody that has been in front of them and pretty handily. They didn't look as good last week against Youngstown State, but I would guarantee you they were looking ahead to this week. And from the sounds of it, I didn't get to watch that game, but from the sounds, it was a pretty slow start. And then they kind of turned it on when they needed to, kind of played with their foot a little bit there. But yeah, I mean, I fully expect, if you listen to Jimmy talk about this game and this USD team, he fully thinks that this is the best team that they've ever had. And so, all right, guys, I need to be ready for it. And the crowd's going to need to help out.
To put some numbers on it, in 7 games, their average rush is 6.1 yards per carry and 14.9 yards per catch. Their pass efficiency is 170.4, and their average total offense per game is 436.9 yards. So they're doing pretty good on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I expect to see is that our defense, I mean, they play so well against the run. I expect that to continue. USD does have 3 really good running backs that are good options, but I see us limiting their success in the run game and making Aiden Bauman beat us. And we'll see if he can. I don't think he's as good as Cam Miller. But if none of that matters if our offense can't score points. Our offense absolutely needs to get going. Like we said, third down conversions, get into the red zone and convert them to touchdowns. So that'll be, like I said, at this point, I have full confidence in the defense that, they'll put the team in a position to win. And the offense just has to go do it. You're on mute, Brendan.
Sure.
Okay. Anyways, I'm back. So, but I think the
sounded
keys,
similar to Saturday night.
Nah. So the keys for it wasn't even my fault. Anyway.
Time out.
Yeah,
does the 5th set go? Does it go to 25 or is it just 15?
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe someone on here in the chat can help us out with
volleyball.
I'm not that big of a
out.
volleyball person.
I want to
say close. You have it up there as well. It's 12-8 right now. We are leading. By 4.
Jim says 15.
I thought so.
15. Jim. It can change at any moment. So finish.
Man,
finish.
Our chat's going wild. We ask a question.
Yeah, chat. All right, we're idiots.
Can't keep up, guys.
I'm getting yelled at from upstairs. I'm sorry.
I was pretty sure I knew it. You guys made me
God, I
second
didn't
guess
think
myself.
that was that egregious. Yeah, we're the three
Other fan
dumb guys
bases
that
are
play
calling
that.
us out for not
Anyways,
knowing.
yeah, we're dumb. All right. Surprising no one. We're idiots. I think when you compare Aiden Bauman and Cam Miller, the biggest positive in facing Aiden Bauman is just from a mobility standpoint. He's not Cam Miller. Even though Cam was dinged up, he was able to run. He was still able to run, like, and tough it out. And he ran fairly well. You could tell he didn't quite have the same cut ability, but he still was running well for a quarterback, and he ran well. Really a lot of grit there. Bauman just doesn't have quite the same mobility. Passer wise, you asked me last year, I'd probably say Bauman was a better passer, but Cam's been so good this year. I think you've got to call that a draw. But with Bauman's mobility and the way they like to have explosive plays, you've got to get to them. They have allowed some sacks in conference this year. I think they've allowed 3 or 4 sacks. You got to get pressure on him when he's dropping back to pass. Don't let him, and don't let them turn decent play into a great play and score a touchdown on it. Be sound on your tackling, be sound on your lanes, and force them to drive the length of the field. That's really difficult for most college offenses to do. We talked about it a lot last year. It's hard as a college offense to drive the field, especially on the road, without having a false start or a procedure, a penalty, or a hold, or whatever, as we saw last week. That's exactly what NDSU forced us to do by not letting us have huge run plays, and we saw what happened. So we've got to try to do the same thing to USD. As I said already, our streak of holding them without a touchdown is gone. It's already gone. I'm telling you, don't even brag about it, because it's done. They're going to score a touchdown, and that's okay. But like you said, Ben, the rubber is going to meet the road with if the offense is able to be successful. That is where the rubber is going to meet the road. This game scares the shit out of me, because they do have a very potent offense and they do have a good defense, and we need to be successful. We can't have another game where we can't throw the ball. We just can't. You can't have that. And USD has a good secondary, at least it appears to, on paper and eye tests and everything. We win. Suck it, Yotes. The unbeaten streak stays alive. But so the ladies advance and continue on being undefeated, and they also break a streak of some ungodly streak of losses to USD to finish that streak off. My throat's getting a little horsey.
I thought you had something else to say there.
This can't be right. This on their cumulative stats says 16 sacks. Is that correct?
That they've got? Do you mean that they've gotten or they've given up?
That they've gotten.
Oh, I was going on how many sacks they've given up.
8.
Is that for the year or the conference?
For the year, it says 8.
Oh, I was doing conference. I was talking conference stats.
8 for
My bad.
65 yards.
Sacks
and it makes sense.
We have not given
there, right?
Yep, we have not given up a sack yet in conference play so far, which is pretty darn skippy considering the next best is North Dakota with 2. USD's given up 3 so far in 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Jim says the football ticket will get you into the volleyball match on Saturday afternoon for free.
For
if you
free.
feel like going to watch the volleyball team before you go watch us beat USD.
Can you tailgate at First Bank and Trust then, or how's that working?
Well, there is that lot just off to the side that is Jackrabbit Club that we could set the tailgate up in and then go to the volleyball. Does that mean we get to start if we want to? Can we tailgate the volleyball match?
What time does tailgating start for volleyball?
5 hours before volleyball. I'm going to look up when the match is.
Yeah,
then,
someone at the athletic department, because we know they watch our podcast religiously. Please reach out and let us know.
Let us know.
That game's at 1:00.
Hey,
oh, perfect. I'm going to show up at 6. Show up at like 9 in the morning. And when I get yelled at, I'm be like, no, I'm not tailgating for football. I'm tailgating for the volleyball game. and then see what they have to say about it, because that'd be hilarious.
I don't know that we officially have a tailgate for anything else, but at the same time, I don't think
Nobody's officially
can.
said I couldn't.
We've talked about it for wrestling before, so
I like it. That is a cool idea, though, to go to the volleyball game at 1:00 and then go to the football game after, because there'll be enough time in between for tailgating. But anyway, back to this game. I think that I expect our rushing offense to still look good. We've got to find some success in the passing game. What I think needs to happen is a little more tight end involvement in the middle of the field, some short throws to start off the game, I think, to get some confidence back, both in Mark and the receivers. But I am excited to see what they do. I think that we've seen enough that, and they've probably seen enough that they're like, okay, we got to do something different. And I'm excited to see the response of the players, excited to see any changes the coaches make, and see what we do against USD. But with that, do we want to talk about the Valley and the top 25 real quick?
We sure can. Give me just a hot second to change tabs here. Did it pop up? No, it did not. I got to add to stage. There you go.
So we've got NDSU and USD at the top, both at 4-0. Missouri State lurking at 3-0 in the Valley, and then we've got UND at 2-1. SDSU also sitting at 2-1. Then we've got Illinois State at 2-2, Indiana State 1-2, Youngstown State 1-3, and then you've got UNI, SIU, and Murray State all with no wins in the Valley. Man, that bottom half of the Valley is just
garbage,
real bad. Hot garbage down there, and the top 25, we've got NDSU sitting at number 1 now, Montana State 2, SDSU, USD, UC Davis for the top 5. Then you got UND all the way up to number 7 now. As far as other Valley teams in there, Illinois State's hanging on at 21, but that's a bit of a stretch. We don't really know how good they are either, but yeah, that's top 25. Damien asked what happened to Voorhees. I don't know. I don't know that we've heard anything on that. It was kind of surprising not to see him out there at all. So it'll be interesting to see if we hear anything that way.
Yeah, it was surprising. It felt like the type of game he would have thrived in too. So, I don't know what the story was on that.
Yep. Do we have anything else on the USD game?
I mean, be loud
wear
when
blue.
You're there. Be loud the whole time. Wear blue. Well, yeah, it's a blue out. It's a blue out. Everybody wear blue. Paint the stadium blue. I expect the vast majority of it will be blue. But I mean, that's not a surprise. And be loud. Be loud the whole time. Montana State loud. This is 3 versus 4. Huge matchup. The team needs us to show up for them, give them that home field advantage. Because man, if this one slips through our fingers, it's
rough.
Goes from the season's not over or anything, but boy, that playoff road, she becomes a lot tougher, because then you still have to win at UND, but on the flip side, your best win possibility will be UND and Missouri State, and those probably won't stack up even to being as better than Incarnate Word. Yeah. So for getting a decent seed, it's going to make it tough. So this one is huge.
Yeah, I mean, if you lose this game, you're flirting with not having a top 4 seed.
You're definitely not getting a top 4 seed if you lose this game. Yeah, there's no flirting. You're not getting a top 4 seed. Period. End of statement. End of story.
Too many people with good schedules.
You're
in
not a
other
top 4 team.
conferences.
You're not, and you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
If we drop these 2 games and we get a top 4 seed, that is, I would be indignant for other teams that should be.
Your 2 losses. We're going too far
I
down the
don't
rabbit
care.
hole here.
I don't care who it's against. I don't give a shit. Win the games. Win the
I don't
goddamn games.
think it'll happen either.
That's a SoCon fan crybaby argument.
I agree that we should just win the games. I'm just saying the rest of the FCS, I don't know who's coming into that 4 spot. But anyway.
Right. Well, it's not about who we think. It's not a power ranking for the seeds. It's a resume for the
I understand
seeds.
that, but I don't know who's having a better resume. But anyway, what we need to do is go beat USD, take away any doubt. Yeah, take care of business. With that,
so Dimez, he must be slow. So yeah, no 1 versus 2 matchup this week. You're good, buddy. But yeah. Anyways,
perfect. We will. What does CCS stand for?
I don't know.
I know, but I can't come up with it. It's his deal with the model.
By the numbers?
No.
Yeah, he does by the numbers.
No, it has to do with the playoffs, right?
Oh no,
he's talking about
his champion is BCS. When he does, if the FCS did seeds with the BCS model, I love that.
Yeah,
championship system. See, why do you got to say it like with an acronym you've never used before?
That's such an engineer's acronym too.
That's such an engineer thing. That's such an engineer goddamn thing to make up his own acronym, not tell anybody about it, use it in a public setting, and then wonder why nobody knows what the hell he's talking about. That's all of you.
That's like trying to put an agenda on our podcast.
Yeah, who puts together a whole agenda and plan for our podcast?
Hey man,
Psycho?
I feel like it went well.
It did. Good job.
All right.
I don't read the title. I skip to the actual article, Alex.
Tune in on Thursday night. We'll be back for Scare Money, Don't Make Money, recapping a horrible week of picks. And
it went poorly.
It was bad, but see what we can do going forward. As Jim says, as we always say, go big, go blue, go Jacks.
Go Jacks.
So I'm not over 500.